Welcome back. Today I want to talk about something I just completed in this last weekend, which was connected to a lot of goals, and probably one of the hardest things I've done in quite some time. Well, let's put it in context. Let me ask you something, and I don't really want a quick answer. I want you to actually sit with this. What do you do when you commit to something big, something that matters, something that stretches you, and somewhere along the way, you realize you might not be able to finish it? Not because you don't care, and not because you didn't try, but because everything inside you starts to break down. Your body, your confidence, your certainty, all of it. What do you do? When the version of you that started wouldn't even recognize the version of you that's struggling to continue. What do you do when belief starts slipping, but the goal is still standing? Because that's where this story lives. Not at the start line, not at the finish line, but in the space in between, where things get real. So it's always great to put some context in, like, why did this even start? And it didn't start with a marathon. It never does. It started with something quieter, a thought, a feeling, a pull. Something inside me, inside you said, there's more. Not louder than your fear, not stronger than your doubt, but persistence. And that's the thing about growth. It doesn't always show up as confidence. Probably doesn't usually show up as confidence. It shows up as curiosity. The truth is, most people wait to feel ready. But growth begins the moment you move without it. So I want to share why I started running. Because I wasn't always a runner, and I wasn't always a really fit person. I've had moments in my life where I've done rugby and swimming. And there was a time in my life that I was getting really healthy, and I would do 90-minute hot yoga classes every day. And then I got into climbing this incredible hike called the Grouse Grind. And I started running seriously for the first time. Because in the past, I still remember being in grade 6, and we were doing this thing where we were supposed to run kilometers. And every time we ran a kilometer, we got a popsicle stick. And I just hated that. But then we moved forward to now. Well, a few years ago, let's say. When I got into practice, and I ended up, working at one clinic that didn't work out, and was walking down the road to open my own with my wife. And I met an interesting physiotherapist. We had a really good conversation, geeked out about the body. And the next thing you know, he sent me my first elite athlete. And I got really inspired by this marathon runner. Still inspires me today. She actually had a great weekend. And through supporting her, I went to London to support her at World Marathon Championships. Well, it was World Athletic Championships. The marathon was there. And I met the director of IST, that's Integrated Sports Therapy team. And he invited me to apply to go for a trip the next year, like to support a team, to be the therapist on the team. What an experience, and what a great trip. And it's interesting when you're on a trip like this, you arrive at the hotel, everybody meets in the lobby, and they hand out the gear, hand out your room assignments. And then the athletes go and throw on their shoes and go for a shakeout run. And I just thought, wow, wouldn't it be really cool if I said, can I come too? At this time, I wasn't really fit. So there was some work to do. So when I came back, I started a walk run program. And I feel like a couple things. If you have a good set of goals, that's going to help. Like you have a roadmap of a direction you want to go. That's going to help. So I wrote a whole bunch of goals. First, to start a walk run program, consistently walk run every second day. Build my running up to 30 minutes from running. Run 5 kilometers, run 10 kilometers, run 21 kilometers. I wanted to do some races. So 5,000 on the track, 5K, 10K, 21.1, and 42.2, a full marathon. But the one thing that was really inspiring me was I really wanted to go on a shakeout run with the athletes on a support trip. And I did get to do that in 2023. I went with UBC track team to their cross country championships in London, Ontario. And the women allowed me to jump in with them on their shakeout run. So I did check that off the box. But the interesting thing is when I was starting to run, when I was walk running every second day, not knowing how it would go, the thing that pulled me out the door was that shakeout run. When it was raining or snowing, when I was tired, I'd still get up and do it because I could just imagine me going out for the run with the athletes. I've said it before, if you have a strong enough why, you can overcome any how. If you understand your motivation or you have a goal that you're reaching for, then it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, winds blowing, you're going to get out there and do it because your why will pull you. And when I started running, I didn't have any perfect plan. I had no structured roadmap. I had no expert guidance, just enough knowledge to get started and just enough belief to take a step. And that's how most real journeys begin. Messy, uncertain, but moving. The build, it's the lonely work, and it's where it really happens. Early mornings before the world wakes up, before noise, before distraction, just you and the road and your thoughts. And here's what nobody tells you about running. It's not about your legs. It really isn't. I mean, we want to go fast. We want to break records and stuff, but it's not all in your legs. In fact, I don't know. What do they say? I can't remember. Anyway, it's like running is 90% mental and the other half is physical. I believe that's what they say. But it's about your mind. Because the moment you get uncomfortable, the moment breathing gets heavy, the moment pace drops, your mind starts talking. And it's not in your favor. Not always. Almost never. This is too much. You weren't built for this. Why are you doing this? And you hear it loud and clear, persistent. The truth is, the first opponent you face on every run is not the distance. It's just your thought. And these are the things that I came up against. Like breathing too hard. I'll never be fast enough. What do I think I'm doing? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like my brain was challenging me all the time. But it's interesting. I decided to start taking that and using that to build resilience rather than tear myself down. I remember on my half marathon build, I heard this song, I'm Not Giving Up. And I thought, that's my theme song. But not just for running, for life, right? And I imagine that it said, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up. No, not yet. Even when I'm down to my last breath, even when I swear there's nothing left. So don't give up on me. And I realized for me, that was the future self that succeeded, calling back to the present self saying, I'm not giving up on you. Don't give up on me. Because what you're building is you're building a future self in these moments. You see, the first moment your mind tries to convince you to stop, this is where so many people lose, not physically, but mentally. Because they haven't understood that internal voice, that internal dialogue, the negative. It's not you. It's an aspect of you which is trying to protect you from being hurt. But it protects you by keeping you small. And if you don't want to be small, you cannot listen to it. So I made it through, did a 5K, did a 10K, did a 5,000 on the track with like big goals. And I had this amazing group of human beings, these amazing women who came and paced me. And it was probably more of a jog for them, but it was all out for me. And after that, I realized I probably got to get some help. So I found in fact, one of my marathoners' husband. I asked him to coach me for a half marathon. And my goals were like sub 2 hours. And it's interesting because, we worked really hard and it was June. It was my first half marathon and something shifted. I really showed up. I wasn't fully confident, but I was completely committed. And I ran and I pushed and I finished really stronger than expected. It was an interesting day because the course was short and I knew it from about 5K. So I wasn't doing a good job of running the tangents. And what that means is like the shortest distance around corners. I was trying to make it so because the course is short, I still want to cross the finish line and be able to stop my watch at 21.1. So I came through the finish line. I speared a finish medal with my head and I kept on running until my watch went beep, 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 beep. And if anybody knows that sound, you know what I'm talking about. And I looked down at my watch. It was 21.1 in 1:59:58. I succeeded in my sub 2 hours by 2 seconds. And a lot of that was the coaching. So much. And it was really interesting that was a moment that I realized that if you get the proper support and if you trust the coaching and you just take the coaching and you do the work, you can get there. And I mean, after that, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm going to go and I'm going to train. I'm going to get fast and I'm going to break my 5,000 record. So my goal for 5,000 was to do sub 25. The first time I did it, I did it in 25:41. So I missed my goal. So suddenly it feels like I'm going to be able to move forward. And the truth is nothing builds belief like doing something you once doubted. Like I didn't know I could run that fast on 21.1. The truth is there's a part that people don't talk about and what comes after the win. Because after that kind of success, you feel invincible and you feel ahead. And you feel like you figured something out. So what do? Well, you don't do what you're supposed to do. And that's maximize recovery and rest and get back out there. You push harder. You go faster. You skip steps. And you stop listening to your body. And then, well, life humbles you quickly. I was running one morning and I knew I wasn't stable on my feet, but I had a goal I wanted to get to. And I'm running along and I trip on the sidewalk and I'm going face first, but my left leg's still on the ground. So I push as hard as I can to kind of throw my body in a different direction so I don't go face first and completely smash. And I felt pain like you would not believe in my left hamstring. And I'm laying on my back on the ground and like, the pain will go away. The pain will go away. And no, I laid there for about 2 minutes and then I tried to walk and I couldn't. Definitely a significant hamstring tear or tear. Progress will take you forward, but then ego will take you too far. It's like you got to realize that you need to recover after big things. You're not going to lose anything by like recovery. So right away, I knew I'd done something really bad and I could barely walk. I could barely move. No matter how I changed my gait, I couldn't move. I limped my way back home and I went to work. And this is when I really had to do the big work because I always tell people, pay attention to how it's different, not how it's the same. And I was pretty scared that like I really done something bad and I wasn't going to be able to keep on working to like, you know, the amazing thing is when I'm doing my work, when I'm working with somebody, when I'm really focused on somebody, I feel no pain in my body. So that was great. I could walk around the table, no problem. But where I really noticed it was the walk to the bathroom. Because if I took 2 or 3 steps in one direction, it really hurt. So I'd have to like take a couple steps and take a couple bunny steps and I was afraid it wasn't going to get better. But like I said before, I really tell people to pay attention to how it's different, not how it's the same. So I would notice that over days of days, I could do 3 steps and 4 steps and 5 steps without pain. And slowly, everything started getting better. And it took a lot of time. I went and saw some professionals, got some exercises, started working on that. But the hardest part was coming back different because coming back is harder than starting. You know, you kind of hope you'll pick up where you left off, but you can't. Your body doesn't respond the same. Your confidence isn't the same. Your rhythm is gone. And now you're not just training, you're questioning. Am I still capable? Did I lose it? Was that just one moment? Nothing tests your identity like losing a version of yourself you were once proud of. So I was coming back and I started pushing it and then aggravated my knee. And now I'm frustrated because I can't move at the speed I was moving during the half marathon. Not at all. And the truth is that speed hasn't come back. And then I'm frustrated and I'm doubtful. But I'd already signed up for this marathon. So I regrouped, worked on the exercises, and slowly started coming back. It's not just training, it's life. 12-hour days, 6 days a week, I work. I'm tired. There's pressure. There's responsibility. And now I'm asking myself, how do I carry out all this and still show up for that? It's easy to chase big goals when life is light, but it's really different when life is heavy. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but I'm trying to respect the fact that I work hard. Because in January, I got back to running. And I'm doing all this and I'm getting more and more tired. And as I'm doing this training, and I still got a painful hip and the hamstring tear is aggravated and it's getting harder. Starting to not feeling great about runs. but I'm getting the work in. It just doesn't feel like quality. It doesn't feel like what I want. And it doesn't feel like progress. And this is where most people stop. They like quietly quit, reasonably, understandably. But I didn't. I just kept on going. And then about 1 month out on a 30K run, at the end, I was wrecked. And took the next day off, did my gym work. And the day after that, I went out to try to run and I couldn't. I was hobbling my right hamstring and it was pretty bad. So we adjusted, we cross trained. I missed key long runs. I missed workouts. I missed some runs too. And it wasn't going as planned. So I made a decision. I adjusted, not the dream, just the expectation. I really got clear that I want to finish. That's all I want. I don't care about time. I don't care about pretty. I just want to finish because sometimes strength is not pushing harder. It's redefining what winning means. The goal is no longer performance at this point. Hit completion. But coming into that and the days leading up, the doubt was strong in this one. They were talking about the weather being incredibly hot and my lack of preparation. And I hadn't run over 30 kilometers and everything was still sore. I actually got vertigo leading up and I was still a tiny bit dizzy. And I really didn't know if I was going to finish this thing on that day. But I showed up. And it really felt different. I'm standing on that line wondering if I'm going to make it, anxious, less certainty. I mean, my brain was thinking about, oh man, it's going to be so painful and I'm going to be in pain for days afterwards and I'm even going to work. And it's like, what am I doing? I didn't get the job done. I'm going to have to do this all over. I'm going to have to sign up for another one. My brain was going and going and going. I don't know how it's going to go. And that was real. And that's honest. But the truth is, I remembered something I'd learned a long time ago. It's anything you know for a fact about this life you live limits you to that fact. And the truth is, if I didn't know I could, I also didn't know I couldn't. I wasn't saying I can't. I said, I don't know I can. And this is one of the biggest reframes of my life because I used to say I can't, but I was like, I don't know I can. And all that, though that seems very small, it's very, very significant. Courage is not certainty. It's movement despite uncertainty. And I started anyway. And I went out and the thoughts were interesting. It's like everybody, like I'm just being passed and passed and passed and passed and passed. And it's hard and it's warm. I mean, my body didn't hurt as much. And I broke it down into pieces, right? And it's like, okay. So the first bit, I need to get to 49th. And then it's a lot of downhill. So they just smooth in, just go easy and smooth. Every single water table, I'm going to dump water in my head and I'm going to take two cups of electrolytes every single table. I'm going to eat my gels on time. And somewhere in that, I found moments of peace in a sense, moments I felt completely alone. But I've been good at being alone, so that wasn't a big deal. And then as I was coming in this last one hill and it was coming down, I saw some people. One of the people I saw there is one of the athletes I work with. And I told her before I ran this race that I was dedicating this race to her. And she's like, what? No, what? Yeah, you're dedicating it to all your people. Yeah, but you especially. Because there was a time a while back I was talking to her and said, if I don't know I can run a marathon in under half hours, I'm not going to run a marathon. And she looked up at me, says, Kimen, what do you tell us? And I'm like, wow, thank you. I said, if you ever hear anything that comes out of my mouth that isn't aligned with me, please call me on it. I was so grateful. I said, I'm running a marathon. And that was the decision point. So you know who you are. As I was moving through, I saw my wife at 25K and our puppy, and I started bumping into people. One of my athletes ran out, hugged me, and ran with me for about 500 meters. Another athlete ran out and hugged me. There were high fives. And as I'm coming onto this bridge, I'm halfway up this bridge and I'm getting emotional. And the emotion was because people showed up for me, and I'm not used to that. And I don't have any expectations of anybody showing up for me. I never have. I never will. I don't expect. I just appreciate it. And like from 30K on, off and on, it's got overwhelming floods of emotion. And there's people who don't know me who see my name on the bib and they're cheering. It was a wall, but there was more emotion and there's support. And there was a realization that this was never just about running. It was about everything it took me to get there. And something hits you hard. You realize you've already overcome more than that moment. And my hamstring was so angry the last 12K. And I turned into survival mode. I knew I was going to finish. So I'd run until it threatened to spasm, then I'd walk. But I walked fast. I was walking almost as fast as the people around me running. Then I'd run, walk, repeat. And my mind keeps saying, well, are you still going? And this time you answered it. Because I said I would. Because I'm going to finish. Discipline is remembering who you said you'd be long after the feeling's gone. And it was the last 400 meters and I started running. I found something deep inside, all the cheers, the energy coming up. And I cross and it's done. But I'm not, because something changed. I didn't just run a marathon. I just became someone who doesn't quit to a new level, someone who adapts, someone who continues. Even when it's uncertain, even when it's uncomfortable, and even when it's hard, you don't finish race. Don't finish the race. You finish transformations. So now I'll ask you, what's your marathon? What are you avoiding? Because you're not sure you can finish. Here's the truth. You don't need certainty. You need willingness. You don't have to know you'll finish. You just have to refuse to stop. So start, continue, adjust, and don't quit. And I'll be there at the cheering line. I'll have the finish line cheering for you. Thanks for joining me again. Keep on putting one step in front of other. Keep on going and keep on building your own inner advocate.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Inner Advocate, a podcast by Kimen Petersen, formerly Conversations with Kimen. If you found value in today's episode, please follow, like, and share the podcast with someone who you think may benefit from it. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and connect on Instagram at your_inner_advocate. Until next time, keep listening to and developing your inner advocate.